Hi folks, and welcome to my author spotlight video on Tamora Pierce. I was going to show you the pile of Tamora Pierce books that I own, but they all fell out of my arms. I have so many. So before I get started, one note, next week I'm participating in the Dewey's 24-hour readathon for October. So you will probably get 2 videos out of me next week, because I'll do at the very least I will do a TBR before the readathon and a wrap up after the readathon. So yeah, so that's next week. But here we go. Tamora Pierce. I'll say straight up, I'm trying to remember to say Tamora because that is how apparently she likes to pronounce her name. But for my entire life, pretty much since I was 11, I've called her Tamora. So I may slip up. And so yeah, if I shift between Tamora and Tamora, sorry. But anyway, so I'll start out by showing you the books, those that I have. I don't even have them all in hard copy. Seriously, there's a lot. So she has 2 universes. The first universe is a YA universe, and it is the Tortellan universe, which is set mostly in the country of Tortal in a world where there are surrounding countries, and sometimes they go to the surrounding countries. But it's mostly set in Tortal. So the first quartet that was written way back in the 80s is the Song of the Lioness Quartet, which is Alana the First Adventure, In the Hand of the Goddess, The Woman Who Rides Like a Man, and Lioness Rampant. So this series is a girl who wants to be a knight, so she disguises herself as a boy and has adventures and becomes a knight and has more adventures and has magic and all sorts of things. That's that. And then next becomes the series that I started with, so I'm very, very fond of, and that is the Immortals Quartet, Wild Magic, which I can always reread this because it was my first and I love it. Wolf Speaker. Some of these copies are very battered, particularly The Emperor Mage, that's got pages coming out of it. I've read it so often. And The Realms of the Gods. So this series is about Verily Dane Sarastri, who's a young girl who has a knack with animals that turns out to be wild magic, and she comes to Tortal after she's had a tragedy, like lost her family, and makes a life for herself while learning about her magic and defending against the immortal creatures that have suddenly reappeared in the world. So that's the Immortals Quartet. And I'm just going to duck down and get the next pile. So the next pile is a little larger. Here we go. So the third quartet is the Protector of the Small Quartet. And so we have First Test, we have Page, Squire, and Lady Knight. So this is another quartet about a girl being a knight, but in this case, Keladri of Mindolin is the first girl to try out to be a knight since Alana made it possible. And she doesn't have magic, and all she wants to do is protect people who are weaker than her. She takes chivalry very, very seriously. And so this is her adventures in becoming a knight and fighting battles and being given a quest by a strange creature. So, but no, she doesn't have magic in this, although there are magical creatures and there are magic. But yeah, it's a really good series. So that is the Protector of the Small. And after the Protector of the Small was when I think I read somewhere that after Harry Potter, Tamora Pierce realised that kids can read larger books and it doesn't need to be a quartet. So the next series in Tortal is a duology, which is Trickster's Choice and Trickster's Queen. So this is again we're still going in chronological order in the world here. So this is actually about Alana, who's the knight from the first series. This is her daughter, and she doesn't really fit anywhere. She doesn't want to be a knight. She wants to be a spy, but her dad won't let her be a spy because she's a noble lady. And then she gets kidnapped by slavers and taken to the Copper Isles, where a trickster god is putting his great trick together because he used to be the king of the islands and his brothers and sisters came with the white invaders a couple hundred years ago and overthrew him, and now he wants his throne back. So he tricks Ali into agreeing to help protect a certain family, and it goes on, and so there's a lot of spycraft. It's really a sort of a fascinating plot, spycraft and intrigue and espionage and sabotage and revolution, and there's a lot of themes of colonization and rebellion. So I really, really like this series. And then the final Tortellon series that is currently available is the Becca Cooper trilogy. So these are, like I said, the most recent of the Tortellon books, including the only one that I own in hardcover. And so these are, hang on, got them in the wrong order here. Terrier, Bloodhound, and Mastiff. So this is actually set a few hundred years in the past from the other Tortellon books, and it's about Becca Cooper, who does actually have a family connection to one of the minor characters in future books. But she lives in the slums of Chorus, the capital city of Tortall, and she wants to be a dog, and a dog is one of the city police people. And so these three books are, Terrier is her training as a puppy, and Bloodhound and Mastiff are her sort of becoming a full dog, and the adventures that she has. She has a little bit of magic, but it's a bit odd. She can hear the souls of the dead carried by pigeons. That's right, pigeons. And she can talk to the dust devils as well and get the snippets of information that their winds have caught up. And so she uses this to investigate crime. And yeah, I really, really love this series. It's excellent. There's some excellent secondary and tertiary characters, including some more diverse characters. There's a character who performs as a woman but is also sometimes a man and is in a gay relationship. So gender fluid, I guess. She's a gender fluid character. Mostly behaves as female, I think. I haven't read it in a while. But yeah, so that is the final of the Tortellon books. And then there is her middle grade series, which is the Emmeline series. I don't have as many of these in hard copy, and I don't even have all of them, I don't think. So this series, if I pull the first quartet out, is the Circle of Magic quartet, and it starts with the magic in the weaving, the power of the storm, the fire in the forging, and the healing in the vine, or as they're also otherwise known in the rest of the world as Sandry's book, Triss's book, Daja's book, and Briar's book. So this is a series about a group of 4 children who all get found by the same mage and brought to the Living Circle Temple because they have magic that they didn't realise they had. But their magic is not like normal magic. It expresses itself through ordinary things. So Sandry is a stitch witch. So it expresses itself through cloth and sewing. Triss is a weather witch. Daja is a metal smith witch. So smithing is how she expresses her magic. And Briar, the only boy in the group, is a plant mage. So yeah, so this is their first 4 adventures, discovering how their magic works, learning to work together, that kind of thing. Then you have the Circle Opens, which I only have the first 2 books of that, I think. So Circle Opens book 1 is Magic Steps, and Circle Opens book 2 is Street Magic, and then there are 2 other ones in the quartet, Shatterglass and Coldfire, except they're the other way around, so Coldfire and Shatterglass. And in these books, the 4 kids have spread throughout the world to learn with their teachers, and they each find a student who has magic that is different to theirs but also expresses itself through ordinary things. So for example, in Magic Steps, it expresses it through dance, and in Street Magic, it expresses through stone. There's one where it expresses through cooking, one through lightning and glass blowing, and another through, Anyway, So that's them. And then there are 3 standalone books in the Emmeline world as well, which I also don't have physical copies of. There is The Will of the Empress, which is where all the original 4 characters meet back together and have to try and learn how to fit in with each other again while on a journey to Sandry's homeland. And then there is Melting Stones, which I haven't read yet. It's the only one I haven't read. And that is Briar's student Evie. And then there is Battle Magic, which is also Evie and Briar and Rose Thorn having a particularly traumatic experience in a war zone. So that's all the books. And wow, it's taken me 10 minutes to get that far. I was 11 years old when I first read Wild Magic, and it's still the book of my heart. And I immediately devoured as much Tamora Pierce as I could get my hands on, which at that point was just The Song of the Lioness and the Immortals Quartet. But the rest came, and I loved them all. Dane, in particular, she had wild brown hair. She loved animals and had an affinity with animals, and she was socially awkward and didn't really fit in anywhere because she'd lost her family, and even when she lived with her family, their family was kind of the odd one in the village because her mother was considered quite odd and she was considered quite odd, and there was a traumatic experience. But a lot of those books are, I think, trying to fit in, which as a young teen I really identified with. As I said, my favourite 2 series, my favourite books are actually the later Tortle ones, which are the Trickster duology, which is all the spycraft and it's just really fascinating, and the Becca Cooper series, which the 3rd book, Mastiff, has a twist that I totally saw coming, but I didn't see it coming because I thought of it and I went, no, they wouldn't do that to that character, and then it happened and I threw a fit. But I absolutely love it. My favourite of the Emmeline books is probably The Will of the Empress, I think because the characters are a little older and it's a standalone book and it's 4 people who knew each other and were bound very tightly as children, having gone through all sorts of traumatic experiences on their own, trying to fit back together and learn how to still be friends and family. So I really like that one. And as I said, the only one that I haven't read is Melting Stones, which I should get to eventually. I'm just trying to think. Tamora Pierce's writing has visibly improved over the time. I mean, as much as I love The Song of the Lioness, I'm very fond of it, but it's definitely of that time in the 80s, and it's quite full of tropes. Alana is red-haired with violet eyes. She has magic. She disguises herself as a boy to become a knight. There's a love triangle. It's I love it, but it's quite tropey, and a lot of the secondary characters aren't very well developed. Yeah. But it gets better very, very quickly. I mean, Immortals is, I don't really find many flaws in the Immortals. And each series just gets better and better and better. But yeah, so that is Tamora Pierce. She is my 2nd favourite author. She is my favourite living author. I would really like to see her speak at some point. I think she was in Sydney recently, but I didn't find out until afterwards, which is a bit disappointing. But yeah, Tamora Pierce, it's fantasy, it's YA and middle grade, it's magic and friendship and a little bit of romance and lots of adventure. I really, 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 really recommend picking up Tamora Pierce if you get the chance. So yeah, that's all for now. I will be doing the readathon next week, so hopefully on Friday or Saturday you will see my TBR video, and until then, goodbye and happy reading. See ya.